I'm here. So, as far as like 3D, then now they have a lot of resources that are more plug and play and give you templates, which I think is really nice. So I'm really liking Vectre. It's like a Blender, but more user friendly. Blender can make you cry in a corner sometimes. Um, and Vectre has a lot of templates that you can go off of. So it's like an upgrade from like 3D Paint, but it has a lot of templates.
Polygon is slow, LOL. It's like a dial-up.
Yeah, so that network gets congested a lot. Has a lot of hiccups, and depending on what platform that you're minting on or creating on, it can take some time. I've had charge particles take a few days. Um, I've not had a lot of success speed wise when it comes to Polygon in this space.
So Dazzle, just out of curiosity, are you saying that the thing that was very slow was how quickly something you bought showed up in a wallet, or what was slow?
How fast the metadata process is, how fast it shows in your wallet, different changes or upgrades to things. I've just seen it slow. So like the platform that I keep talking about, the charge particles, because that's the one I mainly work for. Once you create the NFT, like actually mint it, then you have to stuff it, and that process can take a few days sometimes, depending on how the Polygon network is working. And I've seen that with things that we have straight on OpenSea, like we have a blockchain gaming magazine that we have on OpenSea, and it's just not fast. It's just not fast.
That's good to know. So even using Polygon at OpenSea has speed issues?
Yeah, especially on the metadata side.
It's good to hear. Thank you.
When we mint NFTs, again, this is on our testnet, the Solana testnet. It's instantaneous, and the typical gas fees are less than $1 USD, typically around like 87 cents. But the speed is instantaneous. And that's the reason why when we built it, it was on Solana. Now, granted, we're also looking at Avalanche and Definity. And it's funny, we recently got a $50,000 grant from Definity just to play around with it. And so when we first evaluated Infinity about a year ago, literally they had no documentation, so our engineers just had they were lost. And at that time, they were focused on their Motoko platform, which is just kind of their own programming language. But they've kind of put that aside and let people just build on just regular programming languages. So in a couple of weeks, I can kind of tell you how quick Definity is, but so far what we've played around with, Definity has been a good contender as well. So I'm assuming when you look at other marketplaces built on Definity or Solana, it'll be quick.
You don't worry about not being on the largest marketplace?
For us, not really, because what we're building towards is cross-chain compatibility. So even if you mint on our platform, eventually you'll be able to sell across multiple platforms. And we've had calls with Avalanche, Solana, Definity, Terra, and a lot of these guys. I mean, that's kind of, I think in the next 6 to 12 months, we'll see a lot of changes, because I think everyone wants to be cross-chain compatible. And one of the big players in kind of the IDO launch spaces, we had a call. They're built on Solana, but again, they want to focus, and they're a Korean IDO launch pad. They want to also go cross-chain. Just 2 days ago, I had a call with Forte, just for their KYC AML type concerns, the concerns that we have. And again, for them too, their focus is also being cross-train compatible. So I think more and more we'll be able to, we'll see that. And I think we'll, as consumers and end users, will benefit from that.
Question here, will cross-chain bridges eliminate the gas fee problem?
Gosh, that's a great question, because it's still hopping from node to node. So like, I guess, I think that may be a wait and see.
I've been trying to learn about a bunch of these things, and sometimes I think I get a little clarity, and then, a group like this will help me figure out that I didn't. I have recently started working with some people who work in the Solana blockchain and in the Ethereum blockchain. And some of the things I was surprised to discover there, for one thing, is that they're pretty distinctly different from each other. They don't overlap very substantially. The wallets don't cross talk. And so people tend to be in one tribe or another. And so when you make that choice, am I going to launch something in this blockchain or that one? You're largely, the bridge between those worlds seem not to be super functional. The other thing I was super surprised by is that the cultures are very different. So what people expect to pay for things, it's just like, different cities or different countries, people just have really different ways of thinking about products and pricing. I have been increasingly aware of a whole bunch of consternation kind of down in the weeds about how NFTs are actually hosted when people list them and sell them. And it seems to me that different platforms have different ways of approaching this. And some of them leave buyers and sellers pretty vulnerable to the asset actually disappearing. Just poof, it's gone. So I paid whatever, $100, $1,000, $1 million for something, and I can't find it anymore. And some of them are a little bit more stable or reliable. I got to get a crickets recording.
Yeah, Matt, have you heard of this on-chain versus off-chain?
I have. Yeah. And I think even within the off-chain universe, there's still many ways to come at it. And so, for example, like OpenSea being a giant has taken it on, it seems to me, and they've made their servers available and people decide whether they trust that or not. But my sense is that pretty much as soon as you move away from OpenSea, you step into the Wild West for off-chain solutions. On-chain solutions are hard if your content is big.
Short answer, yes. Are you guys familiar with what happened to that raccoon NFT project?
No.
All right, this actually happened. They did this raccoon NFT project, and intentionally, the founders, what they did is after they sold off their NFTs, minted everything, at one point, all of the NFTs went to just bones. They changed from a JPEG of raccoons to a JPEG of raccoon skeleton bones to make this point.
Yeah.
Right. To make this very point.
Yep.
Right. So
there's another guy who did a thing like that where he changed it to basically a pile of poop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How do you know what's secure?
You can get very technical and figure out who's doing what and who's controlling what. Or you can lean on a big trusted gorilla, right, like OpenSea is essentially being right now. Apart from OpenSea, I don't know of anything where you're storing the content off chain. Pretty much all the content is stored off chain. And to the extent that you trust OpenSea, it's a purely trust thing.
Huh.
Matt, I have there's a newsletter group called Bankless, and they did a whole article on this issue. I can post that in the chat for anyone that's interested. And they do a whole teardown of the whole issue.
So to Dazzle's point here that she just added to, yeah, you can definitely self-mint from anywhere, but there again, generally when you do that, you're asking the purchasers to trust you as the creator and publisher to be trustworthy that you're going to always maintain your servers and keep the thing that you sell available to the people who have purchased it. There are a bunch of other off-chain hosting solutions that are coming up, but they're all pretty complicated. And like some of them, you can basically, when you sell the NFT, you're basically selling hosting responsibility as well. It all gets a little complicated. Most people have no idea that any of this is a consideration, and so they're just stepping into it.
So Matt, what did you ultimately decide for your NFT?
I've noticed that some of the marketplaces that you mentioned and some that you didn't, like Artblocks is a huge one that I think basically sets themselves up to be a storefront and a marketplace with some niche oriented bells and whistles. But then they basically use OpenSea to be the provider of a lot of infrastructure. For operating in the Ethereum blockchain, I believe I'm pretty much just going with relying on OpenSea to do a bunch of the heavy lifting. It seems to me to be a relatively cost efficient way to go. They're providing services that most people don't even realize they're getting at OpenSea, and they do it kind of for free. Apart from the fees that they take when transactions happen. I'm thinking about still playing a little bit on Solana as well. And where that is concerned, I don't have a plan.
For those who haven't had a time to really research this stuff, OpenSea really is, at this point, the Amazon. And all the others aren't even close. There's a lot, like what Matt just said, there's a lot of issues with all of this stuff. All new, it's Wild West, it's all being figured out. And I was doing some research where it's actually extremely easy to set up an NFT marketplace. It's real easy.
It's very, very easy to do.
And because it's so easy to do, there's a lot of people who really have no business doing it. They're going to be around in a week or two, a month or two, a year or two. If you're really serious about it and you want to do something significant, whether you're on the investor side or whether you're on the project side where you want to put something up, it really is OpenSea. The others are interesting. Some of them look good, but the issue is to follow through. Is it going to be there? It's going to stick around. And is it a place that you're going to lose all your effort, all the work you put into it, and in a year it's not even there? It's dead and nobody's interested. Seems from everything I've read, the players at OpenSea, they're like the Amazons. They are seriously working hard to make that truly the Amazon of NFT, with all the services, with all the features, with all the capabilities that it has. It's a powerhouse. The money is all in the art. So in the art category, all that's really involved is picking whatever the art's going to be. But to create that art is really just an art program. And then there are programs out there that are even open source now that will do the randomizing for you. So if you're going to randomize the attributes, how many hats, how many glasses, how many pieces of jewelry, how many different kinds of clothes, how many different backdrops, if you're going to randomize all of that for whatever the image is, there's a software program. There are several software programs out there to do that, and they do it in seconds. And so once you've created that, you also have those software programs that will just simply upload it. You click the button and walk away. That all you have to do is just click it and go have lunch. And when you're done, they're all up there on OpenSea. Some of the NFTs are starting to look at a lot better and not do that. Don't do the randomizing. And so for artists to create some really good stuff, and it's in series of 100, is a whole lot better, even if it's digital art versus physical art.
Isn't there also more value in what's coming with the NFT? And that's a huge part of it.
It's a major part of it. To have the website that goes with the NFT collection And within that website, to have a good white paper, to have a good roadmap, have games, competitions, and then you're going to have special giveaways. The artist is going to create 10 or 20 of something, and that's going to be a really special giveaway to only the community. And the community is going to be able to ask the artist.
So when you're deciding on purchasing an NFT and looking at their project, right, you have to determine, okay, is the value in this going to be worth it? Or you have to look at the creators of the whole project and see what they're doing, right? Because everything that you guys talked about, right, someone can just go poof, but at the same time, like, you have to look at their track records, but how do you know how valid these people are and what they could create? You just have to depend on their Twitter feeds and how active they are on that.
Yeah, you normally look, making a decision as an investor. The other thing to do is indeed look that investor up on Twitter, Facebook, and others and find out what the followers are, because they need to have some decent following.
Can you mint the same content on several blockchains and just put it out there? And the short answer is yes. You know, to the extent that this is Wild West, like a person or two has mentioned, you can do that. If you do that, I think it would be ideal to be upfront about the fact that that's what you've done, so that people understand what's unique, what's when there are copies out in the wild. You can also mint the same product multiple times on the same blockchain. But again, it's just, you know, the ethical thing to do is just be clear about what you're doing and maybe why. I said that imprecisely. Let me fix that last comment. You can mint the same piece of content multiple times. So you could, you know, have 5 copies or 5,000 copies of the same thing on one blockchain or on multiple blockchains. And again, you just want to be super clear about that.
Are you're saying that without having them be unique?
Yep. At OpenSea, they even have a thing built in where you can say, make 33 copies of this or 33,000 copies of this.
What becomes the value of that? Why would
That's
you do that?
all part of the market. Let the market decide that.
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, this has, yeah, it's going in 9,000 different directions, and who knows what direction it's going to settle in where it really becomes valuable. But where that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, to some extent,
I understand they're doing it. It doesn't make sense to me off the top of my head.
Right.
Are there third-party credentialing agencies that could provide validation of the value of an NFT like Christie's or a reputable gallery?
Yeah.
There
So
might be.
part of
You
the
would
thing
think
here,
there is.
in a way, it relates to the discussion we were just having, is it's very easy to plagiarize, and plagiarism has happened frequently. It's, you know, technically plagiarism when someone takes another person's content and takes it and mints it. You can do that all day right now.
And they've been doing it, and they've been
Yep.
right.
It
You've
happens
seen it,
all the
Matt?
time.
Some people say, yeah, you can plagiarize anything, and other people say the blockchain is the validation. So that's CJ Moore's point. You can always find the original. So why isn't that enough?
Like when you mint something on the blockchain, it's held there on chain for, you know, everybody to see. So that provenance of it is on the blockchain. So, you know, that is proof of it being yours.
They're massive. That is true, but there are massive limitations of that thing. So there's nothing to stop me from right now from going to get a JPEG of the last $1 million, you know, Board Ape Yacht Club JPEG. I could mint it again right now and say, well, this is the real one. So then it becomes a question of who trusts whom. And the blockchain certainly has records of that, but we have to decide in the market which lines on the blockchain we choose to trust.
You can see there's the official collection that the NFT will be a part of. So you
Absolutely.
can mint one in your collection, but it won't be in the official.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What happens, CJ, is the uninformed, and that's not a negative, just simply the unsuspecting sees something and doesn't realize that they're seeing, you might say, the forgery. You can do a screenshot on a computer of,
or actually download the actual JPEG. It is the JPEG.
The unsuspecting doesn't know that didn't come from the actual original creator. When that first one is minted, it does have a smart contract that's associated with it. And that basically says that's this actual image. And this image is the original. This is who initially put it up. And then every time it flips and somebody else buys it and what the different prices are, that history is being tracked. That's true on the original. But the unsuspecting, unfortunately, doesn't know that 3 or 4 other people have copied that and have sold it in different places. I've already read articles of a lot of this stuff already taking place.
Elisa, can I make a really quick comment on this that
Please.
I think clears some of it up? Many, many years ago, I bumped into something on the web when the web was early, where someone was selling naming rights to stars in the sky.
Yeah.
The basic gist was, if you pay me $1,000, you will get naming rights to, pick a star. I'll tell you which ones have not been named yet. And you decide the name, and we'll write it down in this book over here. And that will be the official name of the star.
Yeah.
That's the best metaphor I have come up with for what's happening in the NFT space. The blockchain ledger records who owns which star, monkey-shaped star. But there's nothing to stop someone else from firing up another ledger or entering another line on the same ledger and saying, yeah, that same star I collected $1,000 1,000 other times to other people who, named the star. It's all there on the blockchain if you want to try to resolve who really did what. So the records are indelible, the records are immutable, blah, 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 but you still have the mess.
Going back to CJ's answer is like, yeah, you can copy and paste it, which is the whole thing, and the whole blockchain was the whole lockdown. But the thing is the verification, which is digital verification practically. I think that's the biggest thing. Because someone buys it that doesn't understand it, you can do that with Bitcoin. There was a guy walking around literally with a real fake Bitcoin, selling those for whatever the Bitcoin was worth to people, and he got sued and he got millions of actually off it. So anything can happen. Scams are going to happen no matter what industry you're in. It can be in stocks. But the thing is, I think the biggest thing what CJ at least come to me is that it has that digital verification. If you do understand the business or understand NFT, that that it comes from a 10,000 or 15,000 limited supply. And it does prove it through blockchain. But if you don't understand NFTs, then you shouldn't even be investing in the first place or buying something that's worth $500,000 because it's a Bored Ape or it's a Mune Ape or a Doodle or whatever it is.
That's more what I was coming across as, and kind of going off of what Dazzle just said in the chat. Like, you can't duplicate the utility part of it. You can copy the JPEGs, but when you take that JPEG and try to go to the Bored Ape Yacht Club holder portal in their little website, and you can't get in, because it's not the real one.
The only difference between this thing we're talking about and the Bitcoin example is, in the NFT space, you literally could have 3 people or 300 people who all believe they own a certain JPEG, that they have the official one. You can have that right now. With a Bitcoin, you can't have that. So there's a similarity. I agree with you, but there's also a pretty important difference. The debate becomes, which record do we trust?
If I didn't believe in my project that I'm working on, I would leave right now, because I feel like in the NFT world, from basically what I've been taught, it's supposed to be a safe place, especially if you put yourself in the metaverse. It's supposed to be a place of safety. So now what you're saying, that is not that. But because I believe in what I'm doing, I believe that I will do well because of my platform. I want to create NFTs that talks about platforms, not just selling NFT, but get a message out to people. So that's what I'm going to use my NFT once I finish creating, as a way to get a message out. And so when you have a good message, even with your art, if you create art based on a platform or to get people to get a message out, I believe that it will sell. Because like you might feel like, oh, well, I don't have a great NFT, or I'm not prepared, but people are human and they want messages and the stuff that we should be selling. Money is good, but people need messages. For me, my NFT is going to bring healing to people. My NFT is going to make people like believe in themselves again. That's what I'm doing with my NFT. So I know my NFT is going to sell. Yes, I'm going to be an investor. Yes, I'm going to do all the things that it comes with NFT because I believe in my product and I believe in myself. It is true. There is robbers everywhere. You can just walk on the street, you can get robbed. So I just think that we need to know that this is a rare opportunity that we have and that we should cherish what we have because one reason why I like the NFTs is because no one can come and say, hey Teresa, take your NFT down because I don't like your message. The whole purpose why I want to do NFTs is because I don't want nobody controlling what I put out as my art of my message. And so that's what the whole purpose of what I'm creating an NFT. And I feel that once we get back to that place of creating an NFT to change people's concept of how they look at stuff, then your NFT will do well. But if you come in here with that, I'm just about money because you have to be about investing. You have to be about creation. You have to be about learning even how to create your own platform. The gas fees that you got to pay alone just to try to get some of your stuff is ridiculous. So if someone is creating another platform that's going to cut out the gas fees, why not support him? But find out what he's doing. It's like we need to build each other up. This should be a place of building, not and I'm saying anyone's tearing down, but you just but we should be able to build each up and say, hey, come on, we're here, let's get behind what you're doing. Each person, let's get behind each other and support what we're doing because we're going to change the world with NFT. And no one's going to control what we put out and what we do with our work because you took the time to create that beautiful art or whatever that you're going to do. You took the time to do it. So why not gather together as a tribe and push it to another place that we've never seen? And I'm complete.
Teresa, I think I've well exceeded my quota for words here, but I love what you said. And I just want to emphasize that I didn't mean to be a downer with a bunch of my stuff. I just think there's a bunch of misunderstanding, and it's important to know which parts of this are real and which parts of this are kind of funky. But now I want to see your art.
I'm a source.
Likewise. Yeah.
No, but
Very well said.
I like what you said, sir, because you're training me to look out for that kind of stuff. So we need both. We need the good and the bad.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying that we need both. We need education. We need to know there's people that are gonna crook us and gonna try to rob us blind for the beauty stuff that we have created. Well, we also here can protect each other and we work together as a tribe and make sure that doesn't happen.
Here.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the NFTs are the community. I think that's the biggest thing because each group has communities. We're as humans, we like communities, we like groups. We go to certain parts, and I think that's what NFTs are because, you invest. Yeah, you invest maybe for the money, but the thing is, there's Discords, there's Twitter groups. Like I won't lie, I did join the Doodles group, but the reason why I joined the Doodles because everyone that I had the Doodle was like communicating with me. Just because of a doodle picture. I think that was the biggest thing is just the community in general. The reason why they last longer than maybe some of them is because I think community is the biggest thing more than profit.
Yeah, that's right. And that's how we built our thesis when we as we're building our DApp is the fact that we're focused on communities. And, the word that we use in the office a lot, Teresa, is tribes, right? And people coming from the same kind of ideas and beliefs and commonalities and being able to share that. And then, the whole point is from one tribe to go to another tribe to share, whatever goodness that you have and the message that you have to, kind of essentially share ideas and artwork and the creativity. And so I'm glad I heard what you guys are saying, because again, it kind of validates our thesis on why we're building what we're building.
My first NFT that I created, it didn't do anything, right? It was just my modeling picture. Then the second one, it sold over $10,000 worth of wax in the first 30 days and didn't even have any of the infrastructure in place. Why? Because of the community that we had around us. It was solely on the community. Then the second half was because of the utility. Whether you liked it or not, you were going to actually get a product with your NFT. So it comes with a shoe.
What kind of shoe?
The kind that you put on your feet. So Wax Key is a cryptocurrency. It's on the EOS blockchain. It's like a bigger gaming ecosystem more so. So didn't even know that. Was like this was over a year ago. Yeah. So when we first created over there, my business partner and I, it was because when Ethereum gas fees first went up. And so we were like, okay, we're gonna come over here to Wax because no one is gonna have gas fees to purchase. You have to like stake for RAM over there and CPU. The NFT holders, like, and I can verify based on their wallet address, they go to the redemption site and put their information in, and I actually have the price of the shoe factored into the NFT. So I'm drop shipping the shoes from print on demand. So I have a print on demand source where that creates the shoe for me.
Oh, thank you so
I
much.
learned so much today.
That's great.
Thank you. I will be
Thank you,
back
Matt.
again.
Well,
I will be back.
First of all,
Have a great
bye
night.
bye. You too.